Welcome to VLSI design video. The video which we are looking at is a series of digital circuit design and testing using HDL. So in this particular video we are going to look at attributes and generics. So the objective is to make you aware how to express the attributes and generics in VHDL. So the books which you are supposed to refer are again the same, Nawabi, Bhaskar, or Bhaskar and Palnitkar for Verilog. So quickly we'll move on to the attributes. Attributes are a feature of VHDL that allow you to extract additional information about an object, such as signal, variable, or type that may not be directly related to the value that the object carries. Attributes also allow you to assign additional information, such as data related to synthesis, to objects in your design description. So what are the VHDL attributes? VHDL attributes are predefined as well as user defined. So predefined are generally taken up with time, wait for, and so on, but mostly user defined attributes are being implemented in VHDL. So the VHDL specification describes 5 fundamental kinds of attributes. So the 5 kinds of attributes are categorized by the results that are returned when they are used. So the possible results returned from these attributes can be value, function, signal, type, or a range. So based on these 5 kinds of attributes are being explored in VHDL. So the value kind attributes are left, tick right, tick high, tick low, tick length, tick ascending. The value kind attributes that return an explicit value and are applied to a type or subtype, including the following. So what about the tick left? So after tick, whatever we write is called as an attribute. So generally attributes are defined with the tick. So this attribute returns the leftmost element index of a given type or subtype. So for example, here you can see I have expressed a type which is a bit array, is of array from 1 to 5, and it is taking the data type as bit. And I am defining a variable called as L, which is integer type. It is taking bit array tick left. So here in my array range, my range is 1 to 5. So what is the leftmost value of the range is 1. So it returns 1 to the L. Next is the tick right. It returns the rightmost bound of a given type or subtype. Again the same example I consider. So here variable R I have considered. So for this, what value has to be assigned? So for R, I have given as bit array tick right. That means the R has a value of 5. The rightmost of this range is 5. Next is tick high. So tick high returns the upper bound of a given scalar type or subtype. Again considering the example, the type bit array is array minus 15 to plus 15 of bit. Okay, so in this the higher value is plus 15. So now I am using a variable h, which is an integer, which is having a bit array tick high. That means my high value is plus 15. So that plus 15 value will be assigned to h, variable h. Next is tick low. This returns the upper bound of a given scalar type or subtype. So in this particular example, type bit array is array 15 down to 0 of bit. Variable L is now taking bit array tick low. So what is the lowest value in 15 down to 0? It is 0. So 0 will be assigned to the variable L, or it returns 0. Similarly, tick length. It returns the length, that is the number of elements of an array. So in this example, type bit array is array 0 to 31 of bit. So 0 to 31, when I consider or include 0, how many total number of elements I have here? 32. So variable I have taken as len, integer. It is assigned as bit array tick length. So what is the length of this one? It is having 32 elements. So length has a value of 32. Len will have a value of 32. Next, similarly, tick ascending. So VHDL tick 93 attribute returns a boolean true value of the type or subtype is declared with an ascending range. So now you can see I have an example type. Ascending array is array 0 to 31 of bit, and I have one more type. Descending array is array 36 down to 4 of bit. So variable a1 will be taking tick ascending. ASC array ascending. So a1 has a value of true. True value will be ascending. Is it ascending or descending? Descending is high to low, ascending is low to high. So in this ASC array, if you look at, it is 0 to 31. Since it is in ascending order, it will assign a true value to a1. Similarly, for variable a2, boolean descending array ascending. So is this ascending 36 down to 4? No, it is descending higher to lower. So when I call this descending array tick ascending, it says false. So it assigns false to a2. Next is function kind attributes. So function kind attributes return information about a given type, signal or array value are called as function kind attributes. VHDL defines the following function kind attributes that can be applied to types. So tick post or tick post value returns the position number of a type value. So position number. So in this particular example, state type is init, hold, strobe, read, idle. I am using a variable p, again which is an integer. State type tick position read. What is the position of the read in this particular state type? The position is third position or first position or second position or 0th position. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has the position value of 3. So 3 will be assigned to variable p. Next, similarly, tick value. It returns the value corresponding a position number of the type value. So type, state type is again the same example, init, hold, strobe, read, idle. Variable v, state type tick val 2. What is the value at 2? So 0, 1, 2 is strobe. So strobe will be assigned to variable v. So it has the value of strobe. Next, what is the success? SUCC is the success, returns the value corresponding to the position number after a given type value. Success means after that. So type, example is type, state type is init, hold, strobe, read, idle, again the same example. Variable v, state type is state type tick success init. What is the successive of init, or what is the next of init is hold. So v has the value of hold. Next is tick pred value. It is the preceding value, returns the value corresponding to position number preceding a given type value. Again the same example is taken. Type, state type is init, hold, strobe, read, idle. So I use a variable v, state type tick pred hold. What is the preceding of hold will be assigned. So preceding means before. So before hold is init. So v has the value of init. Next, tick left off. So it returns the value corresponding to position number to the left of a given type value. So what is the left of idle here? The same example is taken. What is the left of idle? Is read. So V has the value of read. Similarly, tick right of. So it returns the value corresponding to the position number to the right of a given type value. So when you look at the same example, tick right of read. What is the right of read here? Idle. So V has the value of idle. So from the above descriptions, it might appear that tick val and tick success attributes are equivalent to the attributes tick left of and tick right of. For you it looks the same, but in the other functions wherever we use, it differs and they are not the same, they differ. Next, moving on to the signal kind attributes. Signal kind attributes are delay, stable, quiet and transaction. So the signal kind attributes are attributes that when invoked create special signals that have values and types based on other signals. So these special signals can then be used anywhere in the design description that a normally declared signal could be used. So signal kind attributes include delayed time. It creates a delayed signal that is identical in waveform to the signal the attribute is applied to. So example is, I have a process which is clock tick delayed hold. So begin, if clock is 1 and clock tick stable is hold, then assert data stable hold, report data input failed hold time check, severity warning. So here what I am doing is click clock tick delayed, that means the hold time is checked. The hold, whatever tick delayed here, hold means the time, it will check for the input data and it will delay for that particular period of time and will assign into this particular process. Next is tick stable. It creates a signal of type boolean that becomes true when the signal is stable for some given period of time. So again in the example here, I have a process. I am using a variable a which is of boolean type. I am asking it to wait for 30 nanoseconds. Then D is assigned to Q after 30 nanoseconds. And then again it is asked to wait for 10 nanoseconds. And A will be assigned Q tick stable 20 nanoseconds. So here I did not assign a variable or something data to A, but A is directly taken up as Q tick stable 20 nanoseconds. That means this Q output, if it is stable for 20 nanoseconds, if the data is not changing, then it will be assigned as true or high. If the data within 20 nanoseconds, so the Q data is changing, then it will assign false. If something error has occurred, if something has changed, then false will be assigned to A. So it will check for the 20 nanoseconds whether it is stable or not. Similarly here also for 20 nanoseconds it will check and gets the value of false only within 10 nanoseconds. Till 20 nanoseconds if it is stable, then true will be assigned to A. Next is quiet time. It creates a signal of type boolean that becomes true when the signal has no transactions. Quiet is again nothing, doing nothing, waiting like that. So the example here, if you see, it is Q tick quiet of 20 nanoseconds. So A gets a value of false for 10 nanoseconds since the transaction, and A finally gets the value of true after 20 nanoseconds. So it is just quiet, waiting for 20 nanoseconds, nothing will be assigned. After 20 nanos, it is almost similar to a wait statement. Then transaction creates a signal of type bit that toggles its value whenever a transaction or actual event occurs on the signal the attribute is applied to. Next is type kind attribute. Type kind attributes are tick base. It returns the base type for a given type or subtype. So here I have type MLV7 is 01XZHLW. Subtype is MLV7 range 0 to Z. Variable V1 of MLV4, MLV4 tick right. Okay, so what is the rightmost? So the rightmost in my 4 range, if I take 1, 2, 3, 4, what is the right of this 4 is Z. Or I can take in my subtype MLB4, I have the range 0 to Z. So in this the right is Z. So V1 has the value of Z. Now variable V2 MLV7, in that I am assigning tick base tick right of MLV4 to MLV7. That means the base of MLV4, in that the right, what is the right one? It is W, and the base of this is all the range. So the rightmost W V2 will be assigned. So V2 has the value of W. Similarly, variable I1 is integer. Okay, it is MLV4 tick width. What is the width? Width is 0 to Z of MLV4. That means it is having the total of 4 elements. So the width of this is 4. So I1 has the value of 4. And the variable I2 is integer, MLV4 tick base width. So complete width of the MLV7, or the complete width is total 7 I have. So it will I2 will take the value of 7. Next is the range kind attributes. Range kind attributes has tick range and reverse range. So the range kind attributes return a special value, that is range, such as you might use in a declaration or looping scheme. Tick range returns the range value for a constraint array. So example function parity D of std logic vector return std logic is, for all the functions it should return a value, so return type should be there. Variable result is std logic 0. Begin for I in D range loop, result XOR di. So here what is the D range? The range is the D value whatever it takes. It might be taking 7 down to 0 or 0 down to 7, whatever the range what we assign here, the same range will be assigned as a loop inside this for loop. Next is the reverse range. It returns the reverse of the range value for a constrained array. So strip x for I in D reverse range loop, if di is x, then di will be 0, else exit. So here we are stripping. I am exchanging, stripping. So what is the D range? Suppose if I express it as 7 down to 0, this D will be taking 0 to 7 because I want to reverse the range. So it takes the reverse range and then it will assign those values in the reverse way. Next we'll see Verilog attributes. Verilog 2001 adds a new language construct called an attribute. An attribute is represented within 2 stars. Like in the VHDL, the attribute is represented by a tick. Here it is not represented by tick, it is represented, or it is expressed between 2 stars, or which is called as a token pair. The synthesis pragmas on the previous page might be represented using attributes. So always at state machine with one hot encoding, I have star, full case, parallel case, and again star. So in this token pair, if you see, I have full case and parallel case. So this full case and parallel case are extra added things for the Verilog code, which are called as attributes. Then case state is, so 3-bit binary 001. So next state will be 3-bit binary 010. So full case is 001 and parallel case is 010. So this is the way we can link up our attributes. These things are correspond to full case and these things are corresponds to parallel case, which are next states. Attributes are not just another style of comment. Attributes are associated with a specific object within a Verilog module and only affect that object. So the syntax rules for specifying attributes are: the attribute is specified as a prefix to a declaration, a module item, a statement, or a port connection. 3 examples are: optimize, within the 2 token pair, optimize module control. State variable, I have a state, for this variable I am using it, or else I can use even clock line. So these are the 3 examples which I have shown. You can either use like this optimizing and then you can use the module and module control, module name and so on, or else the state variables, and then you can define your registers or variables. In port mapping, in the structural modeling, I take the D flip-flop, its label, and then assigning QD, and within that also I can even use the attribute. So the attribute is specified as a suffix to an operator or the function name in a function call. Sum is A plus ripple adder B. Assign next state FSM function mealy FSM state A, B, C. So this mealy FSM is a suffix which is added for a FSM function. So likewise we can go with the suffixes or prefixes. So note that an attribute can be separated from the object with which it is associated by any type of white space, including a return. For example, optimize, and then you are writing module, module control or module name and so on. Next, moving on to the generics, next topic. Generics are a mean of passing specific information into an entity. They do not have a mode or a direction. Generic supports static information, not dynamic. It is static information to blocks in a similar way as constant, but unlike the constant, the values of generics can be supplied externally. Similar to ports, they can be declared in entities and component declarations and always before ports. So values supported by generics declared in an entity can be read either in entity or in architecture associated with the entity. In particular, a generic can be used to specify the size of ports, the number of subcomponents within a block, the timing characteristics of a block, physical characteristics of a design, width of vectors inside an architecture, number of loop iterations, etc. In general, generic can be treated inside an architecture in the same way as constant. I will show you with the example. In the example 1, the entity name is CPU. As I said, in the entity we are supposed to declare the generics, and the generics are constant. So generic bus width is integer type. The data type it is taking as integer, which is taking 16. Suppose if I declare here n, the n can be changed, but the bus width is taken as integer and I have already assigned 16. And then I have normal ports for an entity. The ports for entity are data bus, in-out, std logic, vector bus width minus 1 down to 0 and so on. So the generic value bus width is used here to declare the width of the port data bus and can be successively in all directions of buses inside associated architectures. So this bus width now will be 16. So data bus will be now taking the in-out std logic vector 16 minus 1, that means 15 down to 0. In the case if I don't mention assign 16, if I mention it n and bus width is n minus 1, so whatever n I externally assign, that n will be treated here. Suppose if I take n as 2, it will be 1 down to 0. Likewise, we can declare the generics. This way, the user supplies only one value which parameterizes complete design. Next, another example. The entity generate gates is generic delay time is 10 nanoseconds. So I am using the type is time. It is taking 10 nanoseconds and the general ports are I1, in1, into in std logic, output out std logic, and gen gates. Architecture gates of gen gates is begin, output, in1 or into after delay. So the delay what I have given, the delay is given as 10 nanoseconds. So after that delay of 10 nanoseconds, in1 and into will be ORed and then will be assigned to output. So this is the way where we can use the generics, and these generics are to be declared inside the entity. They sometimes can be even declared in the components also. The delay generic value delay specifies here the delay through a device or part of the device.